Zaccagni just got sent off. This stream brought some very good luck to this weekend. I was about to start it, then I heard the commentator going red card, and I was like, surely Parma got a red card. It was Zaccagni. What a way to start this live stream, my friends. NICO pass. Big game on Monday. Big game. Very complicated game. I've been saying this ever since the season started. Como are a very interesting team. Como are a very interesting reality, I think, because they still have proven to be they proved that they still can't compete for top four, but they're a very interesting reality in a sense that in a few years, if they stick with this path and this project and these investments and potentially this manager, they will be a big reality of this league. I think, considering the money that circulates around Como, you're not surprised. They are the richest club in the world by far. And it all leads to prosperity. This is a very interesting team to analyze, to look at. This is a team that I think a lot of people criticize because sometimes they do end up losing 4-0 and sustain some very heavy defeats. But they've proven to dominate this season, especially in lower games. In big games, I agree, Como still needs to make that jump, but they're evolving very well. They're developing very well, and I think you need to give credit to the manager. You need to give credit to the team, to the ownership for what they're building. But on Monday, we have a direct encounter on Droll effects. Whether people like this or not, Como are only 3 points behind us. So Monday is a direct encounter game for us. When speaking about Champions League football on our behalf, tend to still exclude Como because I still think there are more prepared teams also in terms of experience. I keep on saying that the big fight for that fourth place would be between us, Juventus and Bologna. Then there's Como, yes, but I do think a step down. Having said that, I think they've got the best player in the league. NICO Paz, in my opinion, is the best player in the league. He's definitely the most technical player in the league. One would argue that Dybala is, and I would say that a fit Dybala always starts and always is the best player in the league. But is Dybala really fit nowadays? That's the question. And if that's the case, then NICO Paz is the new Dybala, in my opinion. It's not a surprise that Real Madrid are going to trigger that kind of bring back clause, because add NICO Paz to that Real Madrid team and they're becoming invincibles. Look, it might not work out. I'm not saying it works out, but a talent like NICO Paz next to all of those talents will make Real Madrid an even better team. But up to now, NICO Paz is a Como player and he is the best player in the league. So playing against a team which has the best player in the league already sets it out to be the best, one of the best game weeks of, one of the best games of the game week. But I think this is an interesting match preview because I would highlight and argue that Como, seeing how they play, can be our kryptonite. Como can be a team and can be the team that we will struggle against the most. Because of how Fabregas outlines his principles and seeing what his principles are, they are a team that we will struggle against. And they are a team, they belong to the category of teams that I think we struggle the most against. So Monday's game is a very important game, but it's a very complicated game. And we do have the AFCON scenario because Ndika and El Enawi are both questionable for this game. People are saying that El Enawi won't make it because El Enawi apparently has a flight scheduled tomorrow for Morocco. So people are saying that El Enawi 99% will not be available for this game and therefore will not be available for the next few games. People are also saying that Ndika will have a last minute game We've been unlucky that this game was scheduled on Monday, because if this game had been scheduled this weekend, then we probably would have had both of them. But playing on a Monday, it's a bit more complicated. But there should be optimism around Ndika playing this game and then leaving for AFCON immediately after this game, which I think changes the balance a lot, because playing without Ndika this game, it's very like you do not want a pillar like Ndika missing this game. That's my point. I think it's very important to have him more than El Anawi in this game, because Como are offensive, Como play offensive football, Como are a fast team, and Como, most importantly, their biggest trait, we can say, or their biggest characteristic, is that they're a heavy possession-based team. And all of these things, in my opinion, play against us, because we struggle against these teams. And I will tell you why in this match preview. But look, if you're excited for this Monday night cracker, do hit the like button on this live stream or video if you're watching this later on. Let me know your comments in the live chat. Leave a like and subscribe. And okay, let's start with them, right? Let's start with Como. Let's start with Como, and let's start by saying, let's start by answering the famous question that everyone outlines when speaking about Como. The question that everyone asks when speaking about this team is, are they underrated or are they overrated? Because some people argue that a dimension like Como is overachieving. You know, nobody expects Como to be in these positions. Como plays incredible football. They have a very interesting manager. So I think half, or at least 50% of people who watches the Serie A say that Como are a complicated team, a well laid out team, an organized team with its principles, sticks to its principles, and those principles are very interesting principles. The other half says that Como are overrated, that Fabregas is overrated, that they spent a lot of money, and therefore they should be they need to take their responsibility to fight for these positions, because they are one of the teams that have invested the most this summer. They've got some of the most interesting players in the league. And then when they do need to make that jump, they always get battered, and they take the last game against Inter, where they got destroyed 4-0. And I stick in between, in a sense that I think I don't think they're underachieving. This is exactly where I expected Como to be. So for that, I think they've perfectly aligned with my expectations. The thing that people highlight is that they get battered. And when they get battered, due to the fact that it's Fabregas, nobody says anything. If it was Allegri who loses 4-0 to Inter, the media would be against it. On that side, I agree. The fact that it's Fabregas, the fact that he's a new emerging, innovative manager, makes him allergic to criticisms to the media. That I 100% agree. But he has shown everyone that he wants his team to play like he says, and that he can lose, he can win, or he can draw. He cares about how the team learns his messages. And on that side, I think he's receiving great feedback, because the team is playing like he wants to. Sometimes it will cost you a heavy defeat. Sometimes it will cost you a great win. This is who Como are. And this is why I expect Como... I kind of expect Como to make the game on Monday. I expect Como are a very, as I said before, heavily ball possession team, which means that they transition very well from a low block to an offensive team. They're very good at transitioning, and you can tell that Fabregas has been schooled by Pep, because Como are a tiki-taka team, coming from that Spanish movement. Como play with the ball. Como want to make the game. Como want to be the team that dominates you with possession. And the reason I say this is complicated for us is because we press very high. One of our biggest keys to winning these games is pressing high. With Gasperini, at least, it's pressing high, anticipating with our defenders and setting up the play from the back, advancing with a lot of men. That's what Gasperini wants, and that's what Gasperini will do. but against a team that transitions very well, against a team that is very precise with their feet because they've got technical players, they can be your kryptonite. They can be the team that we will struggle against the most. Because these teams that circulate the ball, make the movement of the ball very chaotic and very fluid, we always struggle, and that's the truth. We've seen it against Inter. Inter is the perfect example of this. We struggle against teams like Inter because Inter want to dominate the game. Inter want to dictate the rhythm. Inter are great with possession, and then you struggle to capitulate on that. So I expect Monday's game to be very complicated. I think 3 points on Monday would be very crucial, and they would trampoline affect you, because 3 points on Monday would mean going 6 points from Como almost into the first half of the season. And that's something that a lot of people will say, well, that's what needs to happen. And I agree. But it's something that at the very beginning of the season, I wouldn't have written down as sure, as convinced. They are a good dimension. They are a solid dimension, and you need to treat them well. But you need to treat them with blisters on your feet, I would say. Being careful of what you do and the movements that you do, because this is a team that will not come to Rome to park the bus. Will not do it. They proved this against Inter. They proved this against Inter and lost 4-0. Will that act as a lesson to them? No, absolutely not. They're going to insist on it, and they will want to be better. And I think it's the fact that they lost 4-0 to Inter last weekend that kind of has made everyone annoyed about it, that will want to make them jump back on this one. Because Fabregas knows that if he loses 4-0 to Inter and then he loses to us on Monday, he will start to get, victimized by the media. So, I mean, I don't think I really don't think it's an easy game. But, I mean, speaking about us, I think the advantage on our side is that a lot of big players have rested on Thursday. And that was a very good thing because we managed to win, we managed to dominate, and at the same time we managed to rest our big players. Paulo rested, Manu rested, Brian rested, Wesley rested, and I think Wesley can be the key to this game. So a lot of players are fresh, they'll be used for this game. This is where I now bring my predicted 11, and I will show you my predicted 11, and it's kind of a contradictory predicted 11, because I'll show you this and you'll go, where is Paulo? Even though the title of this video is Paulo against NICO. I think Sule starts ahead of Paulo these days. I think Sule, even for Gasperini, starts ahead of Paulo as of the 13th of December. So ahead of Sule, Dybala won't start. If you want Dybala to play in his natural position, which is that position, which is covered by Sule, he won't. Because as of the 13th of December, Sule starts ahead of Paulo. Do we play Paulo as a false 9? I think it would be a very big mistake for this game. Because having said that Como will dictate the game, and that Como will press high, and that Como will transition the ball quickly, technically, you need to act well on those long balls. You need a point of reference on those long balls. And that can be another key to this game. If Como attack with a lot of men, and we get the ball back, and Svilor kicks it long, you want somebody up there who will make the team advance. Because Como won't park the bus, and that will work if you have Ferguson. So I definitely don't want to see Baldanzi or Dybala as a false 9. I want to see Ferguson as a false 9, as a 9. One, because you need to give him faith and confidence after that performance against Celtic. And two, because we need a striker in this game. And starting with a false 9, in my opinion, can cost you this game. So people, again, are going to be shocked. Where is Paulo? We cannot always bench Paulo. It's the third consecutive game that Paulo's on the bench. I agree. But unfortunately, as of today, some players deserve it more than him. And I keep on saying this because I feel like a lot of people are curious to know why I'm not putting Paulo in these predicted 11s lately. It's because it's not a personal issue. We love him. but there were players that as of now deserve it more. And I think not acknowledging that is biased, because Sule deserves it more than Paulo today. You will say to me, Sule is different at home. I agree. But Sule has it more than Paulo today. So Sule starts ahead of Paulo. Even though the title of this video is Paulo against Nico. And I would love to see both Paulo and Nico together. It would be a great show. And Paulo Dybala will come on. He'll come on in his last 30 minutes. But starting, I don't think he'll start. Having said that, Mile in goal, Mancho, Evan and Hermoso. I pray that Evan will be available for this game. I am 99% convinced he will. But hopefully he will. Confirmed. 4 in the middle, Chilik suspended, so I think Wesley will track back to the position where he belongs. Wrench will play in that position, coming from a great performance against Celtic. And then in the middle, Elena won't be available, so Brian and Kone will start this game. And then up front, Sule, Pellegrini and Ferguson. However, I wouldn't mind Bailey, because, again, this will be an open game. I don't expect many goals, because both these teams do have good defenses. But I expect an open game. And I think when you have an open game, you need fast players who can break through. So El Shaarawy or Bailey starting would not be a bad pick. But I think Pellegrini will start. I think that's going to be it. It can have a few changes. I'm not the manager. But I think Gasperini will go for that. Yeah, look, it's a very important game for our top 4 chances and for our top 4 fight. We definitely need a reaction in the league after the great game in Glasgow, but the 2 horror shows against Napoli and Cagliari. We need a shock. We need a win. We're losing too many games at home, so I cannot expect and I cannot imagine us losing again. We need to return to the Olimpico being a fort. We need to return to the Olimpico being an advantage rather than a disadvantage. And we lost far too many points at home this season. Do I see the first draw of the season for us and our first draw since April? I can see a draw. I can see a draw, but I won't take a draw. I will only take a win on Monday for various different reasons. We need this win for our top 4 chances. If you struggle to win this game, then really top 4 is going to get very complicated. Number 2, we need a reaction and we need a shock. So do Como, but we need it more because we're coming from a very bad defeat against Cagliari. You know, Como come from a very bad defeat, but an understandable defeat because they lost to Inter. Us, no. That Cagliari defeat was not understandable. So we need a reaction more than us, and we're playing at home. With these reasons, I will only accept a win. But I can see a draw. But we're allergic to draws, so before betting on a draw for Roma, then the world would need to end. Yeah, look, hopefully our AFCON Ndika will leave on Tuesday and not on Monday. It would change the balance of this game a lot. And yeah, bring it on. I'm going to catch you tomorrow with Gasperini's press conference reaction. Hit the like, subscribe, enjoy your Saturday night, and I'll talk to you very, very soon. Simo out.